and I've sold something. That's well timed. Hey, Tatsters, how are we all doing? Here live. I haven't done a live for a while. And of course, got the main, this side, main man, Nick Hills.
Hello.
Hey, Nick. Thanks for coming on. Do you want to, if anyone doesn't know you for whatever reason, do you want to do a little intro?
Yeah, thanks for having me first. Yeah, my name's Nick Hills. I sell stuff on the internet for a living, and I've been making YouTube videos about our process for the last 5 or 6 years now. Yeah, that's me. We've been full-time doing this. I run the business with my wife, similar to now how you run it, George, with your other half. And we've been full-time doing this since 2002, but I've been selling on eBay since the late 90s. So I have a little bit of experience, and we try and share that on YouTube.
Yeah, and as I forgot what I've called the actual stream, but selling online through the decades, which is obviously perfect guest on for that. But before we get on to that, of course, we've got the side chat. We are live, so if you are watching right now, pop in a hi, a little thumbs up if you have never said hi before. Be good to see your names. And we've got Bill. I recognize that name. Hey, Bill. This is RJ. Who else we got here? Living the Dream. All recognizable faces. Peter Ray, of course. Who else we got here? Rummage Around. I think it was Rummage Around. Was it your video I saw? I can't remember. There's someone's video I saw, and it was really good. But I'll try and find it and give him a shout out at the end. Who else we got in? What's this? Sight on the Moor. The two giants on YouTube in a reselling game. Good evening. Two giants.
Yeah. We're both quite skinny, actually.
Yeah, I know. Well, not at the moment. Yeah. So, first of all, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day, Nick. Why spend it with your wife or partners when you could spend it with us? Eh?
I know. I think that's when we rearranged this, because we were going to do this a few days earlier. When we rearranged it, it hadn't twigged that it fell on Valentine's Day. So, yeah.
I completely forgot. I was speaking before Valentine's Day, but yeah, me and Amy don't actually do Valentine's Day. Mutual agreement.
Shall I share what Andrea got me?
Yeah, go on. Let's see what we've got.
Now, if anyone here does watch my channel, they'll know that I'm a bit of a fan of a certain band. And Valentine's theme, it's their classic 1990 album Violator, but this is a reissued, brand new gatefold vinyl.
And what did you get, Andrea, this morning?
We weren't doing gifts, right? And then she springs that on me, and I'm like, oh. So yeah, Andrea has some flowers, but yeah, I did feel a bit embarrassed because I didn't think we were doing gifts this year. But there you go. Yeah,
but mutual agreement with me and Amy. We don't need a day to say love each other. You got to do it throughout the year. Soppy. But yeah, let's get stuck into the subject. Try and stick it to an hour if we can. So, as you've mentioned briefly in your intro, Nick, you've been selling, well, since the mid-90s, was it?
I started
specific year.
It would have been 98 when I found eBay, and then started selling, I think, in 99, just as a part-time thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, to start on the topic, I mean, eBay was a totally different place then. It really was. I mean, the site was in its infancy anyway, and it was much smaller. Obviously, it hadn't grown to the scale it's at now, and it really felt more like a community of like-minded collectors and geeks, and it was much more personable, and you'd chat with the sellers more. It was much more a kind of social site. I think it's now become this massive worldwide global phenomenon thing, and it's huge, but I think it was more personal back then. So that's one big change, I think. I mean, now you've got all of the big retail stores are on there, multi-million pound businesses are selling on there, and most of what's sold on eBay now is new. It's new stuff.
Yeah, isn't it something crazy? Like 90% is new stock on eBay. Something really high,
like that. Yeah, it's
90%. Yeah,
it's surprising. But I mean, back then it was. I found eBay because I was a collector. I was collecting vintage gaming, and somebody tipped me off about this newfangled internet site. We'd only just got internet at that point. I'd started living with Andrea, and we'd only just got dial-up internet, so it was like all exciting on this site. And I went on there to find stuff for my collection, and that's what people were using it for. It was mostly secondhand, and it was geeks like me looking for music or looking for collectibles.
Yeah.
And that's what sparked my thought I could sell this stuff on here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, bearing in mind, in '99 I was 8 years old.
I knew you were going to bring that up. What age difference here?
What were the what other platforms were available for selling and buying, like in '99, say, or even before then, like from '95 was eBay created? Yeah, '95.
Well, Amazon was again in its infancy. I don't know when Amazon started. It was similar sort of time.
I can tell you. I know that's FBA. So carry on. I've got Amy's notes here for the time note.
Yeah, but we started selling on Amazon. Andrea actually worked for Amazon. This would have been in 2000, I think, and we started selling merchant fulfilled back then. So that was an option that we didn't really find until about 2000. But as for other sites, I mean, there was no Facebook for a start. Social media wasn't really happening. I mean, there was a little bit of kind of social media within eBay. You know, people would chat and there would be
was there Friends Reunited or something? Was that 90s, maybe early thousands?
Friends Reunited, that sort of thing was again in its infancy, but the whole social media boom was way off.
Yeah.
And certainly there wasn't YouTube, for example, there wasn't Facebook, and there wasn't a community of people talking about buying and selling. We'll get onto that in a minute as well.
Oh yeah, we'll get onto that, don't worry.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, I mean, for us with buying and selling, it was all about eBay and then Amazon, which became more and more important when we weren't full time.
Yeah. And obviously from the 90s, how have you seen it change? Like from the noughties, 10s, obviously we've got Facebook Marketplace. So just trying to think, like through the noughties, it was eBay's just been the main one, and Amazon, obviously that's probably overtaken now. I'm trying to think what else there was. Apparently Etsy was created in 2005.
Right.
FBA 2006, which is a lot earlier than I thought.
Well, I think the big difference is that buying on the internet has become part of virtually everyone's everyday life. When I first heard about eBay, it was a new thing. It was exciting. And back then there was a lot of people who wouldn't consider buying stuff on the internet, full stop. Forget about eBay, on anywhere. If people thought it was risky, they didn't want to put their credit card details in. It was seen as a new thing that was a bit frightening to a lot of people. Now,
my mum and dad literally started online shopping a couple of years ago. They were still in that mindset, like, no, I'm going to get robbed. And
and those people are now the minority, but back then they were the majority. And you know, us buying and selling on eBay, we were kind of pioneers. It was like, aren't we cool and stuff? But now it's everybody's doing it. And it's interesting you mentioned your parents, because I was going to use that as a reference. My parents, who are now in their 70s, my dad has sold a lot on eBay. He buys stuff on eBay. He's just bought a set of about £300 lawn bowls for himself on eBay.
Wow.
and years ago, he wouldn't have considered that. You know, it wouldn't have even been an option before the 90s, but he was perfectly comfortable doing it. And my daughter now buys vinyl on Amazon. She buys stuff off eBay. When we went to Disneyland, she was buying handmade ears off eBay and Etsy and God knows where. And the thing is, now it's part of our lives, and it just literally wasn't in the 90s. So it was totally different. The landscape was completely different back then. Yeah,
definitely. So reselling has increased. Obviously, we're resellers, if you don't know. But it's increased hugely since sort of when 2014 did YouTube start, maybe. But was it easier 10, 20 years ago when you first started, even part-time? Have you noticed like a good or bad impact on your sourcing, easiness, prices, all that sort of thing compared to now?
It's an interesting question. I think it's probably easier to resell now because the technology is so much better. You can do it on your phone. You know, there's very little barrier to entry. When we started, a lot of people didn't even have home PCs. A lot of people didn't have internet. A lot of people didn't have digital cameras for sure. So there was all of this tech that was kind of, a lot of that was many, many barriers to entry to even have a go at it. Whereas now, all you really need is a smartphone, and like 95% of people have them. And you're kind of good to go with just that these days. So I think just on the technical side of things, it's so much easier to do. Plus, internet speed is really quick. We used to be on dial-up. You'd sit there and wait for pictures to upload and stuff. So we used to draft a whole load and then set it off at night, go to bed, and in the morning, if we were lucky, they'll have all uploaded, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I think...
So when you say reselling's easier now, you mean the actual, what's the word? Like actually doing it, listing it and that. But how about sourcing items, like the actual thing that makes you money? Do you think that's easier, maybe more difficult now?
Yeah, what I was getting at before was the technology is easier. And likewise with sourcing, what a lot of people who are getting into reselling, buying in order to resell on eBay, is that they are used to having the internet in their pocket. And for a lot of resellers, that's all they've ever known. But remember, for us old school people, we'd go out to boot sale, we didn't even have a mobile phone, let alone have internet on it.
Maybe a reference book like Miller's Antiques Guide or something like that. That's what I started with.
Right. Yeah. But that would be the best you could do, or a notepad with some stuff in it. So you had to carry your knowledge with you. And in that sense, I think it's easier now because you don't have to take a chance on something if you don't want to. You can get on eBay and look it up and find out if there's a market for it.
Well, mine was even as recent as like 2014. Like we still had internet on the phone, but it was so slow. Like on the fields on a Sunday morning, you'd be lucky to get one search result, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's still in its infancy, sort of technology. We're on 5G now, or we're starting to, I think.
Yeah, and I think that will only carry on improving. So that's a huge bonus, and in some ways makes it easier, the technology again. I guess the other side of that coin is, because it's easy, because there's no barrier to entry, lots and lots of people are doing it. So certain areas are now flooded, perhaps, and harder to actually make any money on. But we certainly don't have any trouble. We've not seen it harder to earn money out of it because of added competition. Only in certain niches, that the sort of things that everybody has in their home, and eBay is happily kind of convincing the average Joe to have a go at it, which I think is a good thing. But it means there's all sorts of common stuff all over eBay in it, and it makes it difficult to sell that sort of stuff.
So I was going to throw this question out to the chat as well as yourself, Nick. But when was reselling at its strongest? When was the peak? Like, it's easy to source, easy to sell. Yeah. Have we reached the peak yet? Are we on it now? Was it a few years ago, back in the 90s? Yeah. Comments in the chat. I'll read some out after Nick's finished answering, and myself. Let us know.
Its strongest. I don't know. I mean, I think it's great right now, to be honest. But for sourcing, I look back on the early 2000s with kind of hazy, misty eyes, because I'd go out every week and I'd pick up an N64 and a Super Nintendo and stuff. Wow. And I just didn't know how good I had it. Of course, the values are relative. You know, I was getting a fraction of what I get for it now. But also I would pick up more of the stuff that I love, the vintage music. I would pick up He-Man figures on a weekly basis, Thundercats, Transformers. And now if you find that stuff, it's exciting because it's all gone. It's not there anymore. Yeah. So maybe for me, it was sort of between 2002, 2005, when there was so much of the stuff that I was into as a kid, and that sort of retro stuff that was readily available. And it's just not there. It is there, but harder to find now.
Yeah. I thought I sort of had that in my head, maybe like mid 2000s, not quite internet on your phone, not as much competition, not as well known out there, and lots of stuff to pick up. But then thinking now, there's lots of competition, but then the average Joe knows what their prices are. But yeah, as people, like as a population, we buy so much tap that we don't need or don't want. Even like phones, like this phone 2 years ago was brand new and it's now old.
Yeah.
But it's still got value, but people might just want to get rid of it for whatever, a five, a tenner, and it's worth 50.
Well, this is it, because there are many options now for people to sell their stuff on. There's eBay, there's Facebook, and all of this. But you and I know, you go to a boot sale and there's 100 stalls full of stuff, because people are naturally quite lazy. They don't want to deal with it, and they just want some cash in their hands. So going out sourcing has never been difficult to find stuff. And in fact, as you might know, we end up with too much stuff. You know, we've got a backlog we're trying to deal with right now. So that hasn't changed. And there will always be, we're such a consumer society, and we get through so much stuff. There's no shortage of stuff out there.
Yeah, exactly. Finding stuff's never a problem. Well, it's sort of not really a problem, but it's harder without the boot sales. Mine's starting 2.5 weeks if the weather's good. But yeah, there's people know, like for example, my sister, if you are watching, hey Lucy, she had a pair of old Vans, and to her, she was just going to chuck them away. Like, she's a hairdresser, she wears them every day. There's a bit of bleach on them from hair stuff, this and that. And I offered her a fiver. She was just going to chuck them, and I got 20 quid for them, and the buyer's happy with them as well.
Yeah.
So it's sort of knowing, like, some people just want to get rid of stuff. Like, she probably could have sold them for 20, and she knows she could have, but she just doesn't want that in her life anymore. So we're sort of targeting them people, give them a fair price, and then we do the hard work sort of thing.
And I think also sometimes we forget, because we do it day in, day out, packaging an item, sending it via courier or the post office. To a lot of people, that's a big deal, and they don't know how to do that, and it frightens them. And it's like, well, how much is it going to cost to send? The sort of questions you and I might get on our YouTube channel, that's new people, and they're the worries. It's about stuff we do day in, day out, and because we've done it for so long, we take that bit for granted. But to a lot of people, listing an item on eBay scares them. What if I get it wrong? How do I do this? I've got to take pictures. How do I, and there's stuff we take for granted is a problem for some people. Although I think it is easy, and it's a lot easier than it was back in the 90s with the technology. I think to a lot of people still, it's a lot of hassle just to make a tenner or 20 quid on a pair of trainers. But to us, that's our bread and butter, day in, day out routine.
Yeah, exactly.
But I wanted to say one big change I've seen, if we're talking about eBay, is the perception and people's expectations as buyers. That has changed completely. For example, when we started selling on eBay in the late 90s, early 2000s, people would sometimes send you a check, or they would send you cash in the post, and they were happy to wait the time it took to send us a check, for example, and then we'd have to take that to the bank. That might take us a couple of days to get around to doing it, wait for that to clear, and then send the item out. So it could be a 10-day lead time, and nobody cared. It was much more of a whenever, get it to me whenever you like sort of thing. And I think Amazon changed the expectations of online buying big time, and now people expect things.
Oh, it's crazy.
Next day, we've all had it. Like, they buy something Friday night, on Saturday morning, they're like, have you sent it yet? Why isn't it here? It's like, I don't work at the weekends. It'll be in the post on Monday. And that's just not good enough for some people, because Amazon and Amazon Prime has just changed people's expectations.
I'm guilty of that as well. Like, something's been happening. You'll find out channel on Tuesday what's happening. But for this surprise, we've straight to Amazon. We know next day delivery, it's going to get here, and that's it, really. Which is, but I am patient. Like, I understand, but that's only because I'm a reseller. I sell online. I know it takes time, effort, courier people, but Amazon have changed that a lot with the average consumer.
Exactly. But I think people's expectations also, going back to eBay, the level of customer service that they expect is higher, and eBay has done a lot of work in pushing that up, and they force us to abide by certain expectations that they think their buyers have, and that's a good thing generally. But in the early days of it, it really was the Wild West. You didn't even have to have a picture on your listing and that sort of thing. So that's changed for the better, I think. they may have gone a little bit too far with all of these item specifics now. It's like, oh my, do we really need to know, you know, all of that information about a t-shirt? Like,
yeah, Amy's actually started. Like I'm training her up a bit, and because she's doing some clothing, it's like the list of item specifics ridiculous, and like, what's one that makes me laugh? Well, it doubles itself. Like, what's the style? What's the style name? What's the style number? Just things like that. Shut up. But yeah, went to the chat, 'cause I asked for the chat. It seems to be sort of mid 2000s, early 2000s. Like DB Resales 99 was the sort of peak of reselling.
Right.
2000s. The Brum Reseller says right now. What else we got? 3 years ago, which is quite recent. We've got another 2000. Rummage Around's only just started, so now for him.
I think now is an interesting time to be getting into reselling, because we can all feel that the changes are coming. You know, the competition's creeping in. I mean, Andrea just made a video today about cross-listing from eBay to Depop and Etsy. Yeah. And you can see, I mean, you see it in America that those sort of sites are really starting to gain traction. And I think somehow in the future that will evolve, and whether eBay tries to catch up with them or buys them out or ignores it completely remains to be seen. But of course, then you've got Amazon and Amazon FBA that I know you dabble in and I dabble in, and many are trying that. So I think now is a really interesting time to see where it's going to go as far as reselling is concerned.
And you actually touched on it. It was one of my questions. What was it actually like to list on eBay back when? Like, what did you use to picture items? Did you actually, like, did you need a camera, take your memory card out, load it into the computer, or did you, like you said, you didn't need a picture? What was it like when?
It was, well, one of the first digital cameras we had was a Sony, what were they called? Maybe it's Mavica, I can't remember. But you remember 3.5-inch floppy, well, not floppy disks, little hard disks.
Yeah.
It had one of them in the camera. So we would take pictures onto one of these 3.5-inch discs and then put that in the computer and take the pictures off that. And I don't know what megapixel. Hey?
How long did that take to load?
I can't remember. I think that was quite quick, but because the file sizes were relatively small, because the megapixel count was relatively small.
Yeah.
But the camera was like this sort of size, and it literally had a disk drive in it. It was amazing. I think they're quite sought after now. Oh, Zahir says, Mavica, I sold some discs for £50 of those on Amazon. Oh, this took a standard disc, a standard like 3.5-inch. But yeah, listing wise, I was going to say listing wise, in some ways it was easier because you didn't have to jump through all of the hoops of all of these product identifiers and category, you know, all the stuff we were just talking about.
Yeah.
It was a case of title, description, go sort of thing, really. So that bit in a way was easier, I think.
Yeah.
But it was uploading through dial-up that was the problem. So we used to use a program back then called Turbo Lister. So we'd enter all of the details into a form, and then we would just leave the little laptop on overnight, uploading them one by one. It would take forever, so we'd just do it, kick it off overnight.
Yeah. Was it? Had I screen share? Was it one of these cameras you had? 1 second. I had to stream.
Order News says, "Hi Nick, do you remember the war?" That's it. Yeah, something like that. There it is with the disc. Yeah.
Wow.
I think ours was maybe even earlier than that. Ours looked a bit more, but that sort of thing, definitely.
I remember them.
And it worked really well. And then we upgraded to something that had higher pixel count, some Kodak thing. I can't remember which was a bit crappy, but it was better, better quality images than that. But I used to like the fact that you would eject the disc and put it in the computer, and then they would be there instantly, sort of thing. Yeah, that was kind of cool.
First, Belinda Alder said, "Past is a past. Let's talk about now." Yeah. How do you find eBay now? What's good about eBay now? What's not even eBay? Like, I know Andrew dabbles in Depop, Amazon, yourself, and I do it. Like you said, like what's good right now? Like, yes, it's good to be here now.
The app has a lot of faults, but the app is great. for many things. I love being able to draft on here. I'm on a desktop right now, and then go to where the item is and just take pictures of it, drop it straight into the listing. That sort of thing is great. I love that. The app could be better, but it's really handy. What's good about eBay now? I don't know. Beyond that, what's good? What do you think is good about eBay now?
You nicked mine. I was going to say the app, because I've said many times, my iPad, I do video editing like YouTube and pictures on eBay, upload on eBay. So yeah, the app, even though it has its faults and it could still add some more features, it's been a game changer. And how you can just take pictures and then you sit down on lists while having a tea, whatever, on the sofa. Pictures are there. And you can do your research at the same time if you're not sure on trainers, like look them up, the code number. Trying to think what else really. What are the good things about eBay? Probably just they've still got the power, like the buyer power. You know, if you put something on eBay, you're going to get the strongest price. If you put something on Facebook or Depop, you might not get the sale at all.
eBay's reach is incredible worldwide. And it's the reason why they're still in a really strong position. I do worry about eBay not perhaps responding to where things are going with the apps and stuff, and keeping the youth on board. But they still have an incredible user base worldwide. And I think certain things that they've implemented in recent years have really helped. The GSP, I think, is really great. That's really helped.
The best things,
And then recently, one of the best things they've implemented since I've been doing eBay is sending offers to watchers. Now, I think that that's a game changer for us. I mean, just tonight I've sent offers out and got some sales from it. I've had offers come in, and I was in Zahir's live chat and I was bartering with a guy. I actually sent Zahir a little message that the guy sent me afterwards, and he loved the bartering process. He sent me a message to say that was quite fun. He was happy with the price. I was happy with the price. And that would have never happened before. So some of the things they've implemented have really improved the site. Other things, can't think off the top of my head, but haven't been great. I'm still not sure about promote your listings. Whether that's a con or not.
I think so, but I completely forgot about that. Literally, it wasn't last night, the night before, I could send out 70 or at the same time offers to watchers, and I got 4 or 5 sales in the same evening from my offers. I think I offered, like, what do you normally offer? Do you do a percentage or?
I will go through on the desktop. I find it a lot easier, and I'll get the whole list and I'll run down and I will tick all of the ones I just want to do a standard 10% or 5% or whatever it is. And I'll do a batch of, say, 10% off. And then larger cost items, I tend to think of a price that I'm happy with and do them individually. I don't do it by percentage on some stuff. I'll just pick a price. If I've got something on at £100, I might send a £75 offer on, depending on how long I've had it, how much I've got invested, that sort of thing. But I love doing that. I do it on a daily basis.
I do. You can do it on the iPad, but not on the app. If you go on the browser website thing, I see what I can do, tick everything, and then I just quickly scroll through, make sure there's no like new items that have only been on there a day or two, and I sort of offer between 10 and 15%. Probably 15 on slower stuff, but I've done 12 on everything the other night. I got 5 sales, and that they might not have come through, but you know, they might have.
Well, it's interesting because recently I've made the decision to start collecting music again. I've been talking about it, so I'm watching lots of stuff, and I've now got into the habit of, if somebody's selling something I'm interested in but it's too much, I'll watch it anyway. And I've been getting offers, and it's worked on me.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
I'm watching, there was a single the other day that I was watching, and I was like, I'm in an eye because it was a bit much for what it was. Next day, they send me an offer, and I bought it. So it works.
I think, actually, I've fallen for that once. Well, not fallen for it, but I've been offered it, and I took it. But I can't remember what it was. It works. It's just a nice little perk to have. So we've done now. So how about the future? And I've just noticed this, UK Bay. What do you think of PayPal's new terms starting March regarding refunds? They will keep the 2.9% fee for the refund or someone wants to cancel, could be bad with high ticket items. I think that's been a thing in the US and maybe Canada for a few months now. And yeah, it's coming over here in March, and it sounds proper dodgy. But in the future, eBay are phasing out PayPal for got that thing called Adian or something.
I think that's kind of outrageous, really.
I'll put it back up. There we go. Yeah.
You know, so if you sell £100 item and then the buyer changes their mind, we still get charged.
Yeah, they apparently PayPal just keep it. Like, no.
Yeah. That hands down outrageous, that is.
That sounds really, really dodgy. But going forward, eBay are phasing out PayPal or putting it on the back burner, and they're introducing, and I forgot what it's called, Aiden or something, their own payment system. I think, is it someone in the chat, if you know, correct me, but I think it's later this year, maybe 2021. And I think it's more like Amazon payments. You get payment every week or every other week.
Right.
Like that, I think. And then
that'll be interesting. That will be interesting to see how that pans out, whether that improves things or not.
Because PayPal is good, like with the generation, like we were saying, that my mum and dad, yours, they've just got used to paying with PayPal, for example. Like I know my mum, she trusts PayPal, but if that suddenly changes, will it take another few years? We can trust this new system.
Yeah, PayPal's handy actually because most people have an account. So I mean, I do a few sales through our YouTube channel when people see something and they contact us through Facebook, and then I'll just PayPal them an invoice and we pay that way. And that's really handy to have something that most people have an account with, and it's quick and easy. You just need the email address and you invoice them. Done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, one thing I was going to say that I've seen a big shift since we started using eBay and Amazon in the late 90s is the evolution of social media. Because like I said, that just wasn't a thing. We couldn't have even dreamt of social media or YouTube or any of this when we started reselling. And I know it's been talked about a lot, but working from home, selling on eBay or whatever your chosen platform is, it is quite isolating. Most of the time, unless you're outsourcing, you're sat here bashing away on the keyboard or, as I've been doing today, cleaning old china and hoovers. My dust allergies went nuts today because I cleaned this. I lifted it, sold it within an hour as well. I was quite happy.
Oh, really? Nice.
But the point is, it's quite isolating. And when social media explosion took off, naturally, resellers eventually kind of found each other. And then when I started doing YouTube, and there was myself and Tom and a few others came on board, the community, how we know it today, slowly evolved over the last 5-6 years. And that's been a big, big game changer for me. I've got people like yourself that I can talk to about an exciting find that I might have or that you might have. We're in a couple of chats with friends. Yeah. And you don't feel like an idiot sharing that you've just sold a Hoover for parts. You know, you can get excited about the weirdest stuff because it's a shared interest. And that has really improved my life. And I know that sounds a grand statement, but it really has, because I now have YouTube as an outlet to get excited about this stuff and to share what I do and hopefully inspire other people. And I don't feel like an idiot talking about picking up secondhand stuff and selling it on the internet, because it's a shared interest we all have.
Yeah, I've got to be careful I don't bore family when I'm around there. But they always ask me, but if I could go on and on. Yeah. So it's good to have them contacts. But just had a super chat over the years, $4.99. Thanks so much. Watching on his phone on his way back from the post office, sending much love from Washington, DC. Oh, wow. Always fun to watch. That's awesome.
I was actually watching the channel earlier. I subbed because I saw, I'm terrible with names, can't remember the chap's name, but he's a really infectious character. So yeah, go and check the channel out. Actually, it's a new channel, and I saw him chatting with Tracy and Tommy the other night. Enjoying the channel.
Yeah, thanks so much for the super chat. Really appreciate that. And from Washington, which is awesome, which is also another thing with social media. Like even when I was advertising this on Instagram and on YouTube, I had to put 9 o'clock UK time. So now we've got watchers Australia, Washington, America, even like Ireland. I think there's someone in Amsterdam. I think, yeah, just worldwide. It's crazy.
Absolutely. I mean, I've gained really good friends in America. Rod, of course, in Australia. I don't know if Rod's in. And yeah, I could have never imagined it before starting YouTube. It's amazing. I just read a comment from Justin. It says, I used to accept cash payments in dollars from America. They'd post the money and I'd let it build up before converting it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That post money.
I remember.
I think I've had that once. Sorry. Since I started full time, I might have had that once or twice. And it's always been sort of 80-year-old type. They've not really sure how it's worked. And then I've received like £23.50p, like exact change in an envelope. But normally if you do that, you're just waving bye to your money because you've got no backup. But that's the sort of times we live in now, which is quite sad. But
yeah, the post office do not recommend putting cash in the post at all. But I mean, in the early days, going back to 2000 or so, when we were building up the business before we quit our jobs, and that was when like Bill Point, which was an early forerunner of PayPal and that sort of thing, that started coming in. But let's say 2000, for example, every morning there'd just be a load of envelopes and we'd open them up and we'd take a load of checks out. And then you'd have to cross-reference that with your sales and mark them as paid. And then we'd, like you say, some would jingle and jangle and there'd be coins in there. And so, yeah, that was part of our daily routine, was to open the mail and see what money was got.
And also, like the present day and in the future, how like platforms like YouTube's now on. I know it is for myself. And I just wanted to say thanks because I've done a video. I said about the Bop It pens. I got to say thanks to Claire. Ryan bought a watch for me today. Yeah, Claire bought 3 Bop It pens. I'm just trying to find the others now so I don't miss anyone. But 1 second. Should have prepared this, really. We've got Alison. She bought one. But yeah, that never even entered my mind when I first started selling to people just watching my videos. And yeah, obviously there's so many reselling videos now, I can't keep up.
Yeah.
But it seems like
likewise, you were just saying about subscribers buying from your store. We never used to share our eBay store because that wasn't what it was about. We weren't on here trying to promote ourselves. We were just sharing what we do and trying to inspire other people to have a go. Yeah. But recently we realized that people could find the store anyway because they'd see our sales roundups. And if you've got half a brain, you can find a store by looking for those items. Yeah. Plus, we had 5,500 followers on our store. So it's like, well, everyone knows it anyway. We might as well share a link. And the response to that has been huge. People like to give something back. And if that means going in the store and buying an album that they fancy or whatever, then that's fine by me. We've had a few sales this week already. It's great.
Well, I bought from yourself and Andrew the little pineapple pot thing.
Yes, I know. You should have said, because we'd have just sent you that. Because you sent me this.
Oh, yeah, I sent you. Yeah, there we go.
For those that don't know, this is, well, here you go. It's to replace the one that's in here that doesn't work. A bit of plastic has snapped off so the tray doesn't sit down. So George finally said, well, I've got a tray that works. So, yeah. So I owe you one now.
Yeah, yes, you do. Also got to say thanks to Kaylee and Mark who bought the other Bop It pens. So, yeah, like 5-6 different people just this week, just on YouTube, which is just crazy. Oh, it's all right. I forgot what I was going to say on top of that. YouTube. I've forgotten. It's gone. But yeah, even like spare parts, you can ask friends. Like, I've sent you that. Just I had it knocking around to send it to you. I think that's happened to me as well. I needed a spare something or other. You just reach out, and yeah, the community like helps out basically.
Exactly. Well, I was going to say that the community, besides the social aspect of it and making you feel like you're not a crazy idiot doing this in your own little bubble, which was how I felt for most of my career, if you want to call it that. The other side is that you get inspired by other people. You get inspired by their stories, their successes. I mean, your channel's doing that for many people. my channel's been doing that. I get inspired on a daily basis by all sorts of different people, and that's been huge. And then the sharing of knowledge. I know there's still a part of the community that is a bit like, should we really be sharing this knowledge?
Yeah,
I think yes, because I get as much back personally as I give out, and I'm happy to share my experiences. And I really don't see that it's damaged my business. People say to me on a regular basis, Nick, why are you telling me how to do what you do? Because I'll be your competition. I'm like, well, I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. So
this was my first full year, and I earned more than I ever have, and going forward, like contacts as well. It might make more competition, but you just got to always be thinking forwards. Like when I first started, I started buying like vintage furniture like this and some other things. But as soon as people cotton on, you need to be moving on to the next thing. You need to always be moving forwards to last a long time. But
well, that's a good point. I mean, we're talking about eBay over the years, and what sells and what's hot changes, and I think that maybe even changes quicker now. It's kind of evolving at a crazy pace, and so by the time everyone's cottoned on to what the current thing is, it's moved on anyway.
But you said about being inspired, and this was one of my questions: who actually inspired you and gave you advice, like in the reselling community or even before then? Who did you look up to in business, even doing reselling, YouTube videos? Is there anyone that sort of inspired you?
My grandfather inspired me because he was somebody who was a thrifter. He would buy things secondhand and mend them. He would pick up stuff in the street and see the value in it. And he was the kind of guy that would pick up little lead wheel weights from the gutter and put them in a box, and once a month go and take them to the scrap yards. And that just somehow became part of me. It's seeing the value in stuff that other people don't see it. So I have a lot to thank my grandfather for. My dad as well. He's a hoarder. He sees the value in stuff. It's like, oh, that'll come in handy one day, and puts it somewhere. So that element that I've inherited, I've somehow managed to make a career out of being a closet hoarder. Within the reselling world, before I started making videos, I found a chap called Dallas Moore in America, who I don't think makes videos anymore. There's a channel called Gil Daddy, who I think may have made a few videos recently, but hasn't done it for a long time. And then in more recent years, Pete Craigslist Hunter is such a fascinating guy. I mean, I've had him on my channel and chatted with him.
That was great when you.
And
like years ago now already, isn't it?
Oh, it must be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really rate Pete for what he's done and what he's achieved with his business. It's just next level stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, but there's too many people to mention really. But I would definitely say Pete. And if you haven't checked out Pete's channel, Craigslist Hunter is the name of the channel. So please go and check.
I always mention him like every other video. He's like my top reselling bloke. I look up to him. Yeah.
He's such a knowledgeable guy. He's such a nice guy. Same with Lonnie as well. Lonnie, how can I forget Lonnie?
Yeah.
And people like that, this is the amazing thing about it. People like that have become friends. And that was one side of sharing what I do that I just never saw coming, that I'd find genuine friends from this. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah. For me, I'd say not reselling related, but like work ethic, working for yourself was my dad. He's always been, well, not now, but self-employed since he left school up until very recently. Like if he didn't work, there's no money for us basically.
What did he do?
He was like double glazer, like conservatories, windows. He hated it, but he was self-employed doing it. So it's like me hating reselling, but I have to do it. He had no other choice, sort of thing.
Right.
So I was brought up like he was gone early, got back late, but he had to do it like hard graft.
Yeah.
And then with reselling, like so the first video I saw ever was Tom's, then it was Ben, then you.
Yeah.
To see you, the trio. And then like currently, like Craigslist Hunter and that, just the knowledge, like just wide, like just never stop learning. Like I'm trying to learn about watches, trying to learn about clothing. I always get comments saying, "Oh, you missed that item of clothing in like a charity shop." I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's interesting hearing you say that your father inspired you, and mine did as well, because he was self-employed for a certain part of his life, and it just puts in your head that it's possible, that it's an option. I think seeing that, you know, face to face, my father setting up a business, making a success of it, it's like it just made it feel like that was something that I could do. You know, I'd seen my dad do it and do it well. So it just, because I think people can go through life and not realize that's an option. Just do your own thing. But for me, I took a long time to actually take the plunge and do it. I went through a list of jobs that I just couldn't stand and walked out on. But I had in the back of my mind, well, my dad did it, so I can do this. Yeah.
And like this still freaks me out, but apparently we inspire people. And like Andrew just said, like we inspire him and others. And thanks for everything we put out there. Like literally on a daily basis, I get a thank you message, or like, you've helped me to do this and that. That's hard to sink in, like, because I was part of the community from about 2016, and then I obviously started last year. So I was part of the community for a good 3 years, just in the background, like in being inspired, and now I'm inspiring people, which is just strange but cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your channel's taken off, and all credit to you. And you'll change people's lives by doing this. I mean, it's humbling, but I'm not even exaggerating, because I mean, we know people in this community that have found reselling through YouTube, not necessarily us, but others, and it has changed their lives. It's turned it round, and they've gone off in another direction, and that's kind of awe-inspiring, really. Yeah. I mean, I love YouTube for that. The fact that there is no barrier to entry. Anyone can come on here and share who they are and what they're about. And that's all I ever do. That's all you ever do. And if that sparks something in somebody else, then fantastic. Can't knock it.
Yeah, exactly. I think I've gone through my questions. I think there was one I missed out. Unless any questions in the chat? Raced through that. We still got 13 minutes remaining.
Well, I had a load of notes, and we kind of just talked through it all anyway. I'm just going to have a look, see if there's another topic.
Bear with us, chat.
Yeah, we kind of touched on it all, I think.
The only other thing was YouTube based, and not really reset. Well, it is resetting, but how, like, I had someone dig a message at me saying how I'm money grabbing on YouTube, but YouTube is part of my business now, and it has to earn a living, sort of thing. Obviously, like the sales help, like super chats help, but just going forward, obviously making sales, it's just not relying on eBay. Like I have Amazon that I need to do, Depop. It's just creating multiple streams, because suddenly eBay could get left behind. Like obviously, like Thomas Cook, they obviously didn't keep up with the times, and they're gone. Blockbusters that didn't do online streaming, they're gone. So if we rely on one thing like eBay, that could just go. Like I think paying per listing is getting outdated now. Like you can list on Depop for free, Amazon for free, I think.
Yeah.
Just things like this getting outdated, and so it's sort of more than one basket of eggs.
I just saw retro reselling question, Nick. Do you have a favorite year or most memorable year that you've had in reselling? I think a big turning point was when we had this converted for us, and it was around that time or the year after that we had that Atari cartridge sale that just still makes me smile on a nearly daily basis. So I mean, that must have been 5 years ago. So yeah, around the sort of, when was that then? Wow, 2015 sort of time. I was going to say, what question were you just answering just then? Because I had something to say about that, and I just lost it.
What I just said.
Yeah, I can't remember what we were talking about just then. I've answered the question.
About YouTube being part of the business.
Yes. That's it. It's really interesting, because I've been doing YouTube now for 5 years, and particularly in the first couple of years, we got a lot of, well, hate is the right word, I'll be honest, real nasty negativity just because I was sharing how to make money online. And then that's kind of faded away. I think people realize the internet's here to stay. Information is being shared everywhere you look. Cat's out of the bag, get over it. So that's kind of faded away. But now, like you were just saying, I get messages occasionally basically taking a pop at me saying, you don't earn a living on eBay. You make a living out of YouTube. And I'm like, I wish, I really wish. But people do have a problem with us incorporating our social media into our business. And that's essentially what I've done, and it's what you're doing. And the craziness of it is our channels are about how to make money. And YouTube is an opportunity to make money if you can build it up, which isn't easy. It's a lot of hard work. So why, as a businessman, if I put the work in and built up a channel, would I not monetize it? So I don't make any excuses for that. But people do have an issue with it. It's a really odd one.
Someone had to go at me for raising money for charity, believe it or not. They said I was money grabbing, always asking for money, like skydive this and that. I was like, that was for charity. Come on.
Well, that's just ridiculous. I mean, you went out of your way to do all of that for something that isn't for you. So yeah, ignore it. Ignore that.
That reminds me, I am doing a skydive still. It's nearly spring. It was nice today. Good skydiving weather today. But yeah, it's still happening.
Is that scheduled yet then or not?
Oh, no. You get a year from when you book it. Like, because obviously they get a lot of cancellations because there's that wind cloud cover. Oh, pun. Things. That teaches me for having fizzy. I've got till May to rearrange it, so I'm going to do it about March, probably near my birthday time, which is very soon. I'm going to raise money for charity, so yeah, whatever. But it's part of business, yeah. I can only make YouTube videos if it's like I'd like it. If I was doing it just for fun, not being paid, it would be like one video a week, maybe a month, because it has to be time efficient. But yeah, this is part of it now going forward in the future.
I saw a couple of interesting questions. Vinyl Seekers have an interesting one there. He asks, do you still have nightmares about selling something cheap, not knowing it's worth good money? I sold a letter from Bob Marley from 1976 and it still haunts me. I think we all have that fear that we underprice something or undersell something. Most of what I tend to sell, you can quite quickly establish its value. I don't deal a lot in the unique and the antique. I mean, George does a bit more, don't you? Kind of unique one-off things.
Yeah, I like to, yeah.
So how do you protect yourself from underselling? I know you like to aim for the sky, so that helps.
Basically just do that, yeah. So what did he sell? I once sold a letter from Bob Marley and still oh wow. Yeah, if it was something like that, if I had that exact item, I'd probably wouldn't just rely on research. I'd be asking like specialists, like auctioneers and things like that. Like if you haven't paid much for it and you're in no rush, take your time. Like do all the research you can. Speak to everyone you know. Like with you with the Atari cart, you nearly chucked it in a bundle, didn't you?
That's a perfect example because I had no idea what it was and there was no reference point for it. And it looked like a piece of rubbish. Oh, wow, you've got a super chat.
I'm a
terrible. How dare you make money and raise thousands for charity, you terrible people.
Yeah.
Likewise here, going shaving your hair off for charity. Crazy fool.
Absolute idiot. Thanks, Zahir. Appreciate that. I actually bought from Zahir as well. I've got a nice, what is it, Tommy Hilfiger polo top coming.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Atari cart was nearly a crazy mistake because I couldn't reference it and there was no way of just working out its value and it looked like nothing special. I just got lucky that somebody tipped me off. And I owe them a lot because they could have, it was on buy it now at that point. And for some reason, the guy who had quite an inkling that it was a rare, valuable thing,
messaged me, didn't he?
Buy it. He told me. Okay. Well, he said his words were, "Do you mind if I use your pictures from the listing for my website, because nobody has ever seen this cartridge before." And I was instantly like, "Quick, take the bite now."
I'm so lucky. So would it go for 5,100? Was it in the end? I know you always get it.
I always get it wrong. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
But with me, I just my blanket is just price it high, even if it's stupid high. I've got a sign at the moment. I did have listed at one point for like $1,000 or 995, and obviously you wait for the bites or offers or questions, and then you can reduce it slowly.
So do you have offers on the big stuff?
I start with maybe if I know I'm pricing stupid high, I'll have best offer on.
Yeah. And
then you just sort of gauge the watches with the views. So if it gets lots of views, no watches, then obviously they're looking at it thinking, "Oh, that's priced high. I won't even bother watching that." And then just go from there. Yeah.
One thing to say about watches: the more your profile on YouTube goes up, the more your watchers will become. A high percentage of those will be your YouTube viewers. If you talk about an item like a rare sign or something, and you get 20 watches on it, I would guarantee half of them, if not more, are people that have seen the video and want to see how much it sells for. So just be.
That's one thing I've taken to mind. Yeah, like, oh, I got off. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Spoke about that in the video. Yeah.
Sell some stuff, says there. Latest comment: are 80s record players good to sell, as I have a chance to get one?
Yes, or it depends. Yeah.
With stuff, George is probably more expert than I am, but it will come down to brand a lot of what's sought after and how much the value is. So if you can get an idea of the brand, and then there'll be a model number on it, whoever's selling it, if you can get those two bits of information, you'll be able to find out instantly on eBay what sort of money you like to get for it.
Just echoing what Nick said. If you can get oh my god, I'll come to that in a minute. Try and get the model number. Obviously you can get a brand, so a good name might be like Pioneer, but they make basic, intermediate, high level. Model number is that specific machine, and then you can eBay sold, completed, and then good to go. And I stopped because this just came up. 19.99 super chat, which is you're mental. Tap for cash. So here, that's not even talking to me. Remember, we don't need a Tommy or Tracy, who I never see go sourcing, stuck in a chair for 7 hours telling others they should run their YouTube and eBay business. No thanks, Tommy and Tracy, jog on. I'm confused.
That's one person's opinion. I actually really enjoy watching Tracy and Tommy myself, but that's an opinion and you're welcome to it, but I don't agree personally.
No, thanks for the super chat anyway. But but everyone's entitled to their opinions. But that's the other good thing with YouTube and reselling. Obviously, there's like me, I like to go out sourcing videos, boot sales, charity shops, do my picking, like more out and about if I can. But then you get Tommy and Tracy, sit down, chill out, and have a chat, more like a radio show, which is cool to listen to.
That's a good analogy, actually. It is more like it's a chat show kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to get people on and they sit and they chat. And a lot of people enjoy that because you can have it on in the background. A lot of my videos you kind of have to watch and engage with.
Yeah.
You can't be working at the same time as doing it. And interestingly, we had a chat before we went live about doing YouTube and growing a thick skin and not trying to please people, because you go down that rabbit hole of trying to second guess what people want and then create that content for them. It will drive you nuts. Plus, you're never going to please everyone anyway. So there's no point in trying. But that took me quite a while to figure that out. And I've seen you go through a similar thing.
Oh, yeah. Especially the end of last year, sort of had a little low point. Like I was getting these like sort of nasty comments and like it would get me down. And then even things like, oh, that music was rubbish that you put over the top. Like, right, that's it. I'm putting metal music over the top of the next one. I don't know, recently.
Ooh, look, Sell Some Stuff says it's a Bang & Olufsen. In that case, yes.
Oh,
B&O, B&O, yes.
Maybe, okay, sometimes there is a company like B&O, you just buy it. But even then, it can range, but the bottom range is still going to be worth, it's collectible, basically. Even though basic stuff.
There should be some value in that. depends how cheap you can get the item for, like anything. But yeah, that's a good brand. I've sold some B&O stuff, and I think it all went abroad, from what I remember.
Flipping, are you guys worried about someone buying from you from YouTube just to find out your address when they request a return?
They can find the address just by finding our account.
Yeah.
I mean, you can not have your house number on and stuff, or you can have I think you use your storage, don't you?
As of now, yeah. Well, before my storage, it was the street name, but I didn't put my own house number, even before YouTube, because obviously it's where I live. It's where the girls live. It's a bit weird that you have to do that. But yeah, as of now, because my business is at the storage, that's my address. So
yeah,
I'm protected that way.
But, I think going back to that comment, I think if you lived in a very paranoid world where you didn't want anyone to know where you'd live, that's a kind of strange state to be in. And I know that many people can find my address quite quickly, but then you've got to ask yourself the question, what are you worried about? What do I think somebody's going to do with that information?
Yeah.
So I don't actually spend any time worrying about that. Oh, Tommy's just said, go and read that quick. No.
What's the pineapple thing all about? Because Andrew said I had a pineapple thing when I bought the thing.
Yeah.
It's a complete accident. I started YouTube like last January, and I didn't even think anything of it. I have my bags that I got pineapples on that I go boot sailing in, and it just became a thing in the comments. It's just a thing. It was just a complete accident. I haven't got a thing for pineapples.
Yeah, because I didn't twig when you bought Andrew's little pineapple ceramic thing. She was saying, "Yeah, what's this thing with Georgian pineapples?" I'm like, I don't know.
What do I, to be honest? And then, like for Christmas, Amy got me a water bottle thing with pineapples on just to rub it in.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah,
just,
no, that's cool. You'll be getting pineapple everything now.
I know.
Tommy's just said, going back to that person's opinion about Tommy's channel, says, hell yeah, £20 for great publicity. Send some more cash. Also link your videos so we can watch. Yeah, I mean, Tommy, I think, has a thick skin, as I've had to learn to have, and people will have opinions. There are many people who can't stand what I do, and that's absolutely fine. I realize not everyone's going to like what I do or why I do it. So yeah.
But we're past the hour, so I was gonna, unless you're good to talk for a little bit longer. But I was gonna say, obviously, if you're not subscribed to Nick, I'm pretty sure everyone is, but the links are in the description. But I was gonna mention about your other hobby and channel. Let's Get Quizzical. Is that what it's called? It is, isn't it?
Yeah, the quiz channel. Yeah, did you link that as well or not?
Yeah, that's also down below. And I was gonna hang on. I was going to screen share it just so people can have a look, because I know people are into their quizzes. I know I am.
Well, that was a thing. Again, I think the wonderful thing about YouTube is it kind of takes you off in tangents that you weren't expecting. And we do a regular Sunday show, which usually is sharing a haul or just talking about what's gone on in our week as self-employed people. And somehow it evolved into doing a quiz for the kind of second half of that hour, or sometimes the last 15 minutes. And a certain section, it's not for everybody, but a certain section of our viewers really enjoyed the quiz and started kind of turning up on Sunday for the quiz. So we thought it was kind of starting to take over the Sunday show, which was a reselling show. Yeah. Oh, that's one of my pre-recorded ones. Yeah.
I think I commented as the show was going along. I like these pre-recorded ones because you can just chill out. Where's my comment?
Yeah, I'm getting another one done currently, so that will be up soon.
It is here. I was answering as I was going along, getting them wrong, and I was trying not to cheat. I didn't cheat.
But yeah, it's just a fun thing, really, because I didn't want the quiz to take over the Sunday show as it had started to do, because that's a place for resellers to go and talk about reselling. And I've been a quizzer for years and years and years with Andrea. We do pub quizzes and stuff, and we just enjoy it. So that's the place we go. We go live every Monday currently, for a bit of fun, really. So if you're into that, come and say hello. And there are a couple of pre-recorded quizzes that you can just play whenever over on there. Yeah,
I try and join in, but I've found out recently I'm rubbish at quizzes. Even when I do know the answer, though, I'm like, oh, how do you spell?
Yeah.
And then Peter's got in like half an hour before me, so he gets the point.
We're trying to really mix up the rounds so it gives everyone a chance. Like we had a Big Brother round last week, and we've had like I'm a Celebrity and really random rounds, so everyone can get involved.
Yeah. So yeah, if you like a quiz, pop over to there. Again, links in the description. And I think that's a good point to wrap this up. So thanks, Nick, for joining me.
No, it's a pleasure.
Covered everything. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I hope everyone enjoyed it. If you did, leave the thumbs up button. If you didn't, then go away. You shouldn't have got this far. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me, George. Really appreciate it. And if you do come and join my channel, I'll see you over there at some point.
And what was it, Friday weekend? Have you got any jumbles or boot sales planned?
I don't think so. Andrea's more on the ball with that, but I don't think she's mentioned any to me. We're still in the process of clearing backlogs, so we're not too worried about going sourcing right now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Thanks again, everyone. I have got a charity shop championship video to edit that I done a couple of days ago, so look out for that. And apart from that, yeah, have a good one. Have a good weekend. Happy Valentine's Day, and see you in the next one. See you later.
Cheers.